friends, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about some books that give me fall vibes or that I like to read in the fall. So I've got 8 books that I'm going to recommend today. There's other books on my shelf that definitely give fall vibes, but I don't want to recommend them yet because I haven't read them. So for example, I am reading Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. And when I read the synopsis of that one, it definitely gave me fall vibes, but I haven't read it yet. So whenever I make this video again, I'm sure gonna have some different recommendations, but for today, the books that I'm going to be recommending are the ones that I've read and that I think give fall vibes. So the first book, and it will always be a fall vibes recommendation for me, and it's just because it is also one of my favorite series of all time, and I really need to read it again. It's been a long time since I've read this. Usually when I get the nostalgia part of it, I watch the movies, but I definitely need to read the books again. It's been too long, and that is Harry Potter. I mean, you've got wizards, you've got witches, you've got a magic school, broomstick riding, magical creatures. I mean, this is just fall-esque for me. I mean, I would read this any time of the year, but if you're wanting to start Harry Potter, if you've never read Harry Potter, you gotta pick it up in the fall, especially the first 3 books. So the first 3 books, in my opinion, they're middle grade books. They're not YA in the slightest. And I mean, maybe the 4th one you would consider middle grade as well. But I think once you get from the 4th one and you go up more, it turns into YA because they get darker. And I mean, it makes sense that they get darker because Harry's growing up. Things in the wizarding world are growing darker, colder, events are starting to unfold. So for me, this is fall in itself. I just love Harry Potter so much. And I mean, as you can tell, the pages, they're not white anymore. I've had these books for years. My 5th book is literally ripped to shreds, just because it's a big book and it's a paperback. So I have 1 through 5 in paperback, 6 and 7 in hardback, and my 5th book, I really just need to get a new one, but it shows how much I've read it. And I've read these books multiple times, and it's been years since I've read them again, and I really need to do that. That'll probably be part of my 2025 TBR, is rereading the Harry Potter series. And I can't wait to read these to my kids later on and have my kids then read them, and it's just going to be phenomenal. So fall vibes all the way, but also any time of the year. The next book that I will recommend to read in fall is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. This is a really cozy romance novel, and she is a witch, and her name is Mika Moon, and she's got a YouTube channel. I think that's what it is. She's got either Instagram or YouTube. I'm pretty sure it's a YouTube channel. But she shows her powers, but to the vast majority of people who watch her show, they just think it's a parlor trick. Not actually that she's a witch, which of course the Society of Witches that she's a part of don't like that. But she gets a call from a gentleman who has asked her to be the governess of 3 children who have powers. Because none of the people in that household have powers. I think, if I remember correctly, when a witch has a child, the witch's powers go to the child, but then that witch dies. So you grow up without a mother, basically. So there's these 3 young witches that don't have a mom, have been taken in by a caretaker, but she's never there. So they've got so the person who owns the house is an absent archaeologist, a retired actor, 2 caretakers, and then Jamie, who is the librarian of the house. Sorry, I had to look to see. And so she comes to the house. Things progress from there. And it's a super cute, super cozy, witchy and love story, and I just love it. This was a great read, and one that you should definitely pick up in the fall. The next one it's just I don't even know if I would think you would call it a fairy tale, to be quite honest. It is just one of those stories that you have to read in the fall. And if you haven't read that yet, it is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. It's a short little read, but it's an epic fairy tale-esque story that takes place in Middle Earth, which is part of Lord of the Rings. Now, this story takes place before the Lord of the Rings. So you can read the Lord of the Rings first, or you can read this first. I'm not recommending the Lord of the Rings to read in the fall because I have not read the books yet. I've only seen the movies, which I know is super surprising because this is a fantasy channel, and I read a lot of fantasy, but I mean, to be quite honest, there were books that I read from 14 through college, and I just read them over and over and over and over. I didn't pick up any new books. I didn't do any of that. In the last several years, I've been trying to branch out in my fantasy, and so that's why I'm not recommending The Lord of the Rings today, but I am recommending The Hobbit for fall-esque reads because this is super exciting to read, but also whimsical in a way, So really like it. I've definitely enjoyed reading about Bilbo Baggins and his adventure in The Hobbit. The next one I would like to recommend is A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. This is a book about kids who go to a magical school and train their powers, and after 4 years they graduate. So they do this because magical creatures they try to eat them, basically so they could get their power. So in this one, you've got Ellie, I believe. I believe her name is Ellie, and she's a super powerful individual. But with her power, it's trying to like make her evil. Because you can either be good or you could be evil. And she doesn't want to be evil. She wants to be good. But she's so powerful that her power is trying to make her go the evil route. But she also like is a loner and tries to not make friends. But then she realizes that maybe friends are okay. Maybe friends are a good thing. So this was really, really good. I really enjoyed reading this. It gives me fall vibes just because dark academia, magic. I have yet to read the next two. I do have The Graduate on my shelf. It is in my TBR to read. I don't know when I'll get to it, to be quite honest. I've got so many books that I need to read, but this was really, really good. And I really enjoyed reading from Ellie's perspective. I believe it is first person. Yes, it is a first person read. So pick up A Deadly Education. You won't be disappointed. The next book I would like to recommend for fall vibes is God Killer by Hannah Kaner. This one, first off, gives me fall vibes because of the cover. You've got like, I mean, look, it's just, don't even tell me you don't think fall vibes, because that is definite fall vibes. But this is basically about a girl named Kissian who is a god killer. She lives in a world where gods used to rule, but now they don't. Like worshiping and all that stuff. So she gets calls to go and kill gods who are trying to regain their followers. Well, she runs into a young girl who has a god that cannot leave her side. Like, they can only go so far. So she agrees to help the girl and her god friend to go on this journey to hopefully get separated. So that way the girl can be free and the god can be free. But then they happen to meet an old knight on the way. They become kind of like a found family, and it's just super good. If you want anything like as a comparison, it's kind of like The Witcher. But the relationship between Kissian and the girl is, you get to understand that a little bit better than Geralt and that girl's name. I forget what that girl's name is. Now, granted, I liked the TV show of The Witcher. And I think that the relationship between Geralt and the girl is really good. Like how they did that. I have not read the books yet. They are on my shelf. See, I've got so much to do, guys. But yeah, this definitely brings fall vibes for me. So if you haven't picked it up yet, try it. Try reading it in the fall. So definite fall vibes is none other than A Dark Academia. And what better than Babel from R.F. Kuang? This was phenomenal. And let me tell you, if you haven't picked up an R.F. Kuang book, you have to pick it up. I first read R.F. Kuang through her Poppy War series, and oh my gosh, that's a grim dark, and it is super good. But she is so intellectual in her writing. It's insane. Like, I read her fiction books and I feel like I'm learning something and getting smarter, which is awesome. So she has a so she has a MPhil in Chinese Studies from Cambridge and an MSc in Contemporary Chinese Studies from Oxford. She's now, which this was last year book, 2-year book ago, she's pursuing a PhD in East Asian languages and literature at Yale. So she, first off, is super intelligent, but her knowledge of Chinese history is crazy. But the research that she had to do in this, because it's not just Chinese history, it's different languages, and it was phenomenal. And this read kind of like a dissertation, in my opinion, because it has like notes at the bottom. So it's like, so let me see if I can find a good one here. So like, for example, that's a note. So you don't normally see those unless you're reading a nonfiction book or somebody's dissertation. And I absolutely loved this. Definitely need to read it again. Absolutely phenomenal. And it's got that university vibe. And who doesn't like to read about academia in the fall? It's just perfect. So if you haven't picked up Babel yet from R.F. Kuang, pick that up. I'm also going to recommend her Poppy War series. I'm not recommending it for fall specifically because it is kind of grim dark. You can read that whenever you want, but R.F. Kuang, Babel for the fall, can't go wrong. Next book I want to recommend is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This. I believe this was Leigh Bardugo's first adult novel. I could be wrong, but she hit it hard. This is also considered a dark academia, kind of like mystery story. So it takes place at Yale. And it's about this girl who can see ghosts, pretty much. She's got a handler. So it's got secret societies. And like the research that Leigh Bardugo has had to do for this book is insane. Like this one came out in 2019, and the second one in this series, Hellbent, came out last year, I think. So it takes her years to write these books because of the research that she has to do. And I think she said there's going to be like 5. I don't know. I know based off of Hellbent, there's definitely going to be at least one more. So really enjoyed reading this. I love anything to do that makes my head turn, like, and like the gears going, and anything with academia gets it going. Because to be quite honest, when you write a book that takes place at a university, you kind of also have to have some facts woven into your fiction. So you learn about things when you read this, and I just love it. And if you haven't picked up Ninth House yet, Pick it up. You're not gonna be disappointed. This was fantastic. The last book I'm gonna recommend is a romance, and this takes place in the fall. It's absolutely super enjoyable for me, and it kind of reminds me of like Gilmore Girls kind of thing, and that is The Ex-Hex. And there was another book that came out last year called The Kiss Curse by the same author, same world, that kind of stuff. And oh my gosh, this great. So it takes place in a little homey town. These two rivals, like it's a hate to love, I believe, like enemies to lovers kind of relationship build. And it's just super great, and it's super small, easy to read. So if you need a break in some of the more dense books that you're reading, pick this one up. You're not gonna be disappointed, because it starts out like, I believe, beginning of fall, and then it goes into Halloween, and it's just all fall vibes for me. You're gonna want to have like a hot coffee or a tea, some maybe pumpkin pie while you're reading it. It's just makes me want to have the leaves turn like already. So, well, that's it, everybody. Those are all the books that I recommend that I think that have fall-ish vibes, or you should pick up during the fall season. So let me know if you plan to pick any of those up, or what other books you think has fall vibes. Let me know in the comments, and don't forget, like, subscribe, and be good people.
When you feel it's hopeless, when you think that you've lost, oh, I will take your hand and we'll rise up from the dust.